If you've ever spoken to someone about WordPress before, you'll probably understand that people either love it or hate it. I've used WordPress for over 5 years now, and honestly, I don't have an issue with it at all. Don't get me wrong, there's a few issues with it, of course, but what software doesn't have issues? WordPress has been around since 2003, so there's going to be developers that have jumped into WordPress before it actually got good, and they're going to get a bad rep of it straight away, so they're going to tell everyone else that it's not a good piece of software. That's just how the industry works. If you have a bit of software, you try it, and it's not very good, you're going to tell everyone else it's not the best piece of software. But in actual fact, that's not very true at all. With WordPress frequently innovating and constantly being updated all the time, I think it is the best way to build a website in 2022. Now, I'm not saying every single website needs to be built on WordPress, but I'm saying more B2B, B2C, brochure websites, some small e-commerce websites, and more like small to medium-sized businesses. They're the best businesses, and I'd say category that you want to build a WordPress website in. Of course, let's say you're building an NFT project, you're probably not going to want a WordPress website. You're going to obviously need a custom coded website, and I'm sure you can find tutorials for that online. But if you're just doing a basic website, like what most agencies offer, then WordPress is going to be the best option for you. If you're handing over a site to a client, then again, WordPress is the best site to do. A client is not going to be able to handle a custom coded website, are they? They're not going to know code. That's what you have been hired for. So WordPress is really good when you're handing it over to a client. I could go on all day, but let's look at the pros and cons of a WordPress website. Of course, there are cons, but there are obviously a lot more pros. Personally, if you're a different type of developer to me, then you're going to have, of course, a different opinion, but these are my pros and cons. One, it's very easy to use. If a client has asked you to build a website and they want to handle it and manage it after, then WordPress is the best way to do it. You can give them a simple bit of documentation that you write personally about their website, and they should be able to handle it from there. They might send you a few emails with a few little bits, but aside from that, WordPress is the best way, or it's the best CMS for a client, I think. It's easy to update content, especially with the builders nowadays, and especially blogs as well. And that's really all a client is going to be doing. Secondly, WordPress is very flexible. The ability to use WordPress and plugins allows you to start off with a small website and build on top of that and on top until you've got a robust site. Let's say you want to add a feature in 5 months down the line, you can do that with a simple plugin. You might need to do a little bit of tweaking, but aside from that, it should be really, really simple. So that's why WordPress is really, really flexible. Everything is very modular and can be bolted on very easily. Thirdly, you've got great community/documentation. Everything in WordPress is fairly well documented. If you need to learn literally anything, WordPress has documentation for that. It's very community driven, so as well as plugins, of course, plugins are a massive part of WordPress. So if you have a plugin that you're struggling with or you've had a few issues with, contact the developers or put it in a forum and someone will help you, I can guarantee it. Fourth is you can actually customize it. WordPress is open source, so it's really easy to customize it. I think as a developer, when you hit open source, you already know that you can customize it a lot, so that's a really good bonus. Finally, it is fantastic for SEO. When new business owners decide to set up a Wix or Squarespace website, it hurts me because they're going to realize very quickly that the SEO on these builders aren't very good at all, and they're going to struggle to get in the search results, or especially high in the search results. Whereas with WordPress, you can add plugins like Yoast SEO or Rank Math, and you can really scale up the search results quite easily. Of course, not everything is good with WordPress, so let's take a quick look at the cons. So firstly, it is popular for hackers. So yes, WordPress does have a reputation for being hacked quite a lot. I think the first ever site I set up, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, my WordPress site did get hacked, but since then a lot has changed. There's been a lot of security updates. There's a lot of things you can do. So for example, instead of having the /wp-admin, which hackers know to target, you can actually change this to something like peanuts or something like that. So your login page is not /wp-admin, it's something very, 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 very random, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to actually track. There's also a lot of security plugins like WordFence that can really, really help your site, and they help millions of other sites across the internet as well. Secondly is themes are bloated and have issues. A lot of people decide to use themes when using WordPress, and this is what I do quite a lot as well for some of my clients. But the issue is with some themes they're not, unless you get a really, really good theme, they can be pretty bloated, use poor code, not very good for SEO, and can be very, very bulky and hard to use. For example, you can install a theme and a lot of things go wrong. Unless you're a developer yourself or you've worked with bad themes before and you've fixed them, then you're going to struggle quite a bit. So I wouldn't, if you're very, very new to WordPress and you're new to website development, I wouldn't recommend using themes. So of course, WordPress isn't perfect, but what software is, it does what it's intended for. You can build websites for small businesses, small blogs, medium-sized businesses, even massive, large websites and companies use WordPress. For example, NASA, their website was built on WordPress at one point as well. However, it does have some amazing strengths, and I really believe it is the best way to build a website in 2022. It's a great tool to keep in the web developer's tool bag, but again, like anything else, You don't always need to use it. You can build sites with other CMSs or other platforms. But again, this is just the way I do it. This is the way I do it all the time. So this is why I recommend it.